Work with me, just go, if it doesn't go well, but we're going to try to work it out. So again, we're so excited that you are here today, and I will try to do this. There will be questions at the end, but at any time, if you want to just jump in and have a question, that's fine. But we do have time for questions at the end if you have any. We appreciate you again being here with us. So let me try this. Okay, can everybody see that?
Good.
All right,
Yes.
thank you. Okay, thank you. Um, okay, trying to get there. All right, so again, this is a community service presentation for the North Carolina Retired School Personnel Association, and the presenters today are me, Wynette Martin, and Affie Sawyer, who will be joining us shortly. This is our brief agenda. It will not take an entire hour, I promise you. So again, community service as outlined by RSP, and the purpose of the Community Service Committee is to energize the local units by encouraging all members to volunteer in their schools and communities to address current needs and to cooperate with other organizations in the community on issues of common concern, especially to the specific needs of NCRSP members. That is hopefully the only slide I will read to you, but that's what the purpose is. And so again, you're helping in the community, and if you can, you are helping with other organizations, and certainly schools would be our priority, but we are willing and able to help anybody. And so volunteering is volunteering, and that's really the focus of this presentation. So I'm not again going to read that to you. That's a picture of our Good Job Squad in Forsyth County. And so volunteering in the community means giving your time, effort, and help to others and improving things in your community. It can be right there in your neighborhood or in the city as a whole. So how can volunteering help people? So people obviously are the focus of help, but you can also help the environment with your volunteering by conservation projects. You can help with pets at the local humane society, or certainly schools and people and elders. So many people choose to volunteer, and retirees choose to volunteer because they want to help others. They want to support causes. Think about when you were working and you're like, oh, if I were free on Thursday at 12 noon, I would go and help that group, or I would go and help serve lunch or something like that. So again, you want to make a positive difference in your community. And also for you as a retiree, it can bring about a sense of purpose and connection to your community. So also volunteering can help build skills. So you're thinking, oh, I'm not going to learn anything. I'm done learning. This is time to sit down and relax, which it is time to sit and relax, but it's also time to keep busy. You want to just sit and do nothing. You want to be involved with others, be involved with your community, and you can learn skills yourself and increase your teamwork skills, your leadership skills. If you always wanted to be in charge of something, there is something in your community that they will let you run or be in charge of. It'll help with your problem solving skills, your time management, and it will help build confidence. If it's something that you said, I want to try, I want to, go help elders learn how to crochet, or go teach a child how to crochet, or do some arts and crafts projects, build your walking, your physical stamina, a lot of things you benefit from volunteering in your community. It also makes your community stronger. Brings people together, and it helps to build trust. And again, there's so many opportunities in everyone's community that you can look for in terms of volunteering and spending your time and giving your time and your efforts. Nonprofits, food banks, shelters, faith groups, neighborhood organizations. So as my husband would say, though, don't spread yourself too thin. So pick one or two and go from there. If you try to do too much, it'll be like you're employed again. So pick a few that are near and dear to your heart. So the point is, in your retiree years, get moving, do, and help. So encourage locals. As a community service chair, you're again going to encourage the people in your local RSP and in your region, and also the individuals to undertake service projects and help in schools and the community. And again, you want to, a lot of people, for the most part, do volunteer on their own, and those are the hours that get turned in. But if you can think of or find an effort that your RSP wants to do as a group, that is certainly encouraged, and or like I said, partnering with another group if you want to do that. Also, something that people don't maybe know or realize is that our statewide volunteer hours that we do turn in on a yearly basis help our membership with lobbying the legislature. So turning in hours shows lawmakers that we as retirees are engaged in our community, we are involved, and we are making a difference. So they take that huge number of hours that we give them, 142,000 hours, and we say this is what entire retirees are doing across the state of North Carolina. These are unpaid hours, but we're volunteering, and this is how we're making a difference. And again, if you had to pay for these hours, this is where we get that big check. So the forms, and as the community service chair, the forms to collate hours and the forms to collect hours are listed here. We'll look at those forms in a minute. I'm screen sharing, so I don't know if Affie's here yet or not. Okay, so we will continue on. So
No,
these are
she
the forms.
hasn't joined yet.
Okay, thank you, because I can only see a few people. Thank you. So the forms are, we refer to them as the alphabet on the side, the A, B, C, D, and this is just the title of the form. And so again, we'll take a look at these briefly. So there's two Form As. And so the one Form A is what we have up here as old school. So that's the paper form that you can print out. And a lot of people sometimes, as the community service chair, print these out and maybe take them to each meeting so people can write on them and they don't have to remember in December, oh, well, back in February, I volunteered at the school for something, or, I volunteered at the homeless shelter. You can just have people keep track of it throughout the year. And there's also a version that is the Excel version. Let me try to click on it. That is the Excel version, and it will keep track of it. No, that's not it. So sorry. That That is the Excel version, and it keeps count and keeps track of the hours for you. I apologize for that. And so then also, so at the end of the year in January, the very beginning of January, your locals and your RSP will turn in their individual hours to you, totaled and to you. And they're categorized by hours that were volunteered in education or hours that were any other hours that were volunteered out in the community at church, taking someone to, a doctor's appointment, driving people, or, whatever the other hours are. And so then as the community chairperson, you fill out some of these other forms that we had in there, like B and D, and you send in, this particular one is for the top volunteer of everybody who turned in hours to you. And then you write this down. Now, if the person does have, a few people have over 1,000 hours, believe it or not, so tiring, but so needed and helpful in the community. If you have over, I think it's 2,000 hours, and we do need to get some further documentation, but for the most part, the average is in the hundreds or maybe even less than 1,000 hours. This form here is the one that you would turn in as a community service chair that goes to the region. And so it just has activities and dates of service. And if your unit, if your whole RSP unit does an activity, this is where this goes. And we try to compile a list of activities that different RSPs do across the state. So then we can give people ideas if they need some ideas of where could we help, again, a soup kitchen, the Humane Society, a Habitat for Humanity build, all of those things are, as we know, volunteer hours and helpful in the community. And then the region chair turns this in, the community service top region volunteer. So if you're the regional volunteer, you have currently 5 or 6 or 7 counties, and we know the counties in our regions may change, but you have your counties, and then you turn in your activities here, and this goes to the state from your region. And then this last one, again, all of these are on the website. So I know I'm going fast, I apologize. But then, so this would be for me like Forsyth County, Davidson County, Surrey County, Stokes County, and how many hours were volunteered in education other. And this is how we total the hours. And then that gets turned in, and that gets turned in mid-February. So that was quick. I apologize. Those are all on the website. If you go to RSP Community Service where it says forms and resources, those are all listed there. So again, as the community service chair, you would attend and report at your local executive board meetings or your regional executive board meetings. And we also need and encourage, part of the responsibility is to help coverage with the silent auction, and that's just once a year in the convention. We help with the silent auction for the North Carolina Foundation for Public Schools. And so we need a little bit of help with that during the convention time. So again, volunteering provides retirees with a renewed sense of purpose and structure that sometimes that you miss when you first retire. And that also helps with combating the loneliness and depression that can occur when you're leaving the workforce. So I know at first when I was, retired, I was like, what do I do with all of this free time? So again, finding some way to help in your community, in the schools, in your neighborhood, with your HOA, with your church, with different medical organizations. You can be like an elder candy striper or a volunteer at the hospital delivering flowers. There are so many different ways that you can help in your community. And it also, for the volunteer, it helps to lower stress, maintain cognitive sharpness, and encourages an active lifestyle. So don't just sit. So in the end, you're gonna volunteer because you want to help others. That's the nature of us as retired school personnel, and you're going to help because you care. So, are there any questions?
Excuse me. Where did you say we go to see these forms?
Okay. I'm going to try to show you again. Let me see. So it's under the NCRSP website. Or hold on one second. Hmm. Hmm. So I can't get to it right this minute, but if you go to the NCRSP website, click on Community Service, and it says Forms and Resources.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. I do not know why I can't find it.
I have a question.
Yes.
How how do you know exactly what to count as volunteer hours? Sometimes it's sort of questionable to me whether to count it or not. Say activities in church, what would not be allowed?
Okay, hold on one second, and I will answer that
Okay,
question. So this is the NCRSP website. I apologize. It just took me a second to get to it. So if you go to the
okay,
major our website and go to Forms and Resources, and then you can scroll down. I don't know. Can you see that? Sorry.
No.
No. Okay, I'm sorry.
Share your screen.
I know. Okay, maybe now.
Yes.
And there's my mom, a teacher, a former teacher. So yes, I'm sorry. Go to
okay.
the NCRSP website, forms and
Mhm.
resources, and then go down right here. It says all community service report forms, and then just click on that. Anytime a little hand shows, you can click on that. And so that should be 2025. But these are our winners from last year by region, and then you keep scrolling down. And then here are the forms down here at the bottom. So that's just an example of how to do that. And then right here are the forms. So in terms of answering your question, I think that was you, Dr. Charlotte. Um,
Yes.
um, Pretty much, I won't say everything is allowed, but it is written on the form. So the only thing that is not really, most anything that you're going to do at church is going to fall under in our volunteer category. And so anything that you
Mhm.
don't get paid for. So for example, if you know you're driving someone around, but you're getting paid for that, or you're doing it for a transportation service, then you cannot count that as a volunteer hour. And so, and also if you're keeping, in terms of like keeping children or keeping your own grandchildren, that does not count. We did count it during COVID because we know those were extenuating circumstances, but right now those don't count. So if you're doing childcare for your own family, then no, but pretty much anything else that you do not get paid for can be counted.
Okay. Such as if you at church ushering, singing on the choir, things like this.
Well, that's a good question. I'm going to say probably not in terms of that kind of service. I
Okay.
know you're not getting paid, but we're thinking of more volunteering as in helping other
Okay.
people. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
I
so
haven't counted it, but I wanted to know
that
if
is a
I was
very good
missing
question. Yes, ma'am.
something. Okay. Okay.
So yes, if you, for example, if you're at church and you guys had a health fair or something like that, and then you were manning the tables for that, then that would be something. But I know what you're saying. There's things that are kind of like a job, but not really.
Mhm.
Yes, does anyone
So,
else?
if you're a
Question?
church clerk, then you can count those hours where you're doing your minutes and reporting it to the church and stuff like that.
I would say so, unless I hear something different. I would say yes,
Okay.
because that is volunteering in service to others. Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
What
Okay.
about teaching Sunday school?
I You're doing it for free. Well, we may have to get some clarification on
Yeah,
what this
Yeah.
religious part of it, but yes, it's a good question. Nobody's ever asked me these questions before.
yeah.
Tanya, what do you
Mhm.
think?
I would think that teaching Sunday school is not a position that for which someone would get paid. And with the volunteering, with the getting credit for it, it's
Mhm.
looking at it in terms of you are doing work that and otherwise someone would possibly get paid for that. And if you're volunteering to be the secretary at the church,
Mhm.
and you
Yeah.
are doing the communications and whatever else needs to do, but you're
Mhm.
not receiving payment for that, that's volunteering.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
singing on the choir, that's a choice, you
But
know,
that's
because you
still
don't and you know, in
volunteering
some
though.
churches in the larger cities, people do get paid to sing, you know, they will do, but you know, I don't right around here, I don't know of anyone that, you know, is being tracked down to be paid to sing in the choir.
And I
But
think in terms of choir for Kathy, I think that's more of not really providing a service to someone, it's providing
right,
enjoyment, but it's not
right,
working, like she
right.
said, for others. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So
But with
there's a
with
different definition of volunteering then for our organization as compared to in the church, because singing in the choir and serving on the usher board and working with the church, the children's ministry, all of those in the church are considered volunteers
Yes, they
if
are.
nobody's being paid. So that's confusing to me because I'm volunteering my time. I
Mhm.
don't have to sing in the choir. I don't have to usher. But if I'm doing those things, that is enhancing the service. And at the same time, it is helping other people because we
Hmm.
are told every Sunday, you don't know what somebody comes in with, and your smile and your hug can make all the difference for them that day. So help me to understand why those hours can't count.
Mhm. Yeah.
Ira,
Thank you. Tama, when you were community service person, you had a printout, a sheet that gave all those samples. Could you possibly share that with whoever? I'm just joining, so I don't know who the person is doing, handling the meeting, but that sheet was so wonderful. And if there are things on that sheet that are not pertinent to today's community service, maybe you could just accept those out. You remember what I'm talking about?
right, and those were also listed on the
Hmm.
volunteer form as well as a checklist. And
But
I think
maybe
that
we
they're
need
still
to
there.
see it again. Maybe the new people
Yeah.
aren't aware of that
Yeah.
sheet.
Hmm.
Mm-mm. I
So
don't.
could you possibly send that to everybody?
Well, yes, and Wynette, could you pull that up again? Is it on the one that you have this form A or B, whichever
That's
one it
what, yeah,
is?
that's what I'm looking at. I'm sorry, before I pull it up. Yeah, it's on the only thing that's on that form. Okay, let me try to
This
share
one,
my screen
yes.
again.
Yes, and
Um,
there's the checklist there.
oh, it says someone else is sharing.
Oh, yes, Julia is.
Oh, okay. So yep. So this is the form A, and so this is, well, I can't share it, but the things that are checked at the bottom animal welfare, civic organization, disaster relief, healthcare, medical. I won't read all those to you. So those are items and categories that are checked at the bottom. And it says as of January 1st, caring for family members may not count toward community service. And again, that was something that they did allow during COVID, but then after that, we ceased that.
But it
The
says
one that
church
people
and
were
religion.
confused about was the one with church. And you'll see there,
Mhm.
it just says a general church.
Right. It
So
doesn't
maybe we need
specify.
to update this one to maybe specify what things
Yeah.
in church.
Mhm. Yeah.
Sorry for just bursting in. I'm sorry.
But
Excuse me.
thank you.
So, Ira, you're saying that if someone's a pastor, he can't count it because he's being paid to be a pastor.
Correct.
Correct.
Mhm.
But
You think
what
that
I'm saying
people don't
more than
understand this?
I'm saying more, it just says church. So relative to what Kathy, I think it was you, was saying that
Mhm.
it makes this look like anything that you do in church
Mm-hmm.
is community service, when in reality
Mhm.
it isn't.
But see, I
So,
was
Correct.
told when I had asked about that one time before, I was told that anything you do in church besides just sitting down and attending the service is considered volunteering.
That's what I say.
yeah,
That's what I.
So
yeah.
if I come there just to enjoy the service, that's one thing. But when I come there, if I am serving in some kind of capacity, that is volunteering. So I want to know why that volunteering is different from if I go to the school to help out. Why is it different?
Mhm.
Well, I don't think
Mhm.
that this form could say it all. That's the reason why there are chair people who will explain it to their people. Now, you're here to understand it. I mean, we can't put everything in the world is not going to fit on that form.
That is true. And again, I like what Tama said. If it's a job that someone else would be getting paid for, that's kind of how we turn in the hours and present the hours to the public. When we report our hours, we present it as these are hours that we have saved, quote unquote, someone because it is a job that a volunteer is doing instead of a paid person is doing.
Wynette, the
Mhm.
whole thing that I think people are misunderstanding is when Tama was in charge, she had one sheet. It wasn't in this one little area that you've got these boxes. I mean, this whole thing is like a job. I mean, being a community service chairperson, it's like you're giving us a job. I mean, not me. I'm not the person, but to keep up with all the hours. I mean, that's when you are retired and you maybe have a job that you do work on. This is this is another job in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion. The one that Tama had was it was one sheet, not a little check on the box and like you got to go and punch a clock to say, oh, I did. Let me just keep up with all this. I mean, it's nerve wracking.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am. Well,
gonna
we don't
hush.
mean
I'm
for it to
sorry.
be nerve-wracking for you. Thank you.
Right.
And again, as the community
Thank you.
service chair for your local,
Sorry.
you are only dealing with this one time a
Um,
year. In January, when your locals give you their hours, that is the only time of year you're dealing with the hours. So it's not really like a job. The job of the community service chair is to make maybe suggestions for volunteer opportunities for your locals. But the only time that you are dealing with hours and collating is in January when your people turn in the hours and then you turn them in to your regional person. So that is a few days in January when you are counting the hours for the ones that your people have turned in to you.
And I don't want to be a dog with a bone, but my question still has not been answered. And my question was, in church, the things that I'm doing, serving in the choir and being an
Mhm.
usher, working with the children. In church, I'm considered a volunteer. So why isn't it considered being a volunteer with this organization? That's all I need to know so I can do the right thing.
Yes, ma'am. You can turn in
Mayor,
those hours. The
I have a
hours are
question.
education and other. So put down your volunteer hours. Yes, Teresa, I'm sorry. Do you have a question? I see your hand up
Yes,
now.
I have something that I like to say.
Yes,
Now,
ma'am.
you all have come up with the criteria. If you apply, would somebody be getting paid for the activities in church? Then, if not, it's not volunteer. Now, can you apply that to every other category that you have here? For instance, neighborhood. Um, and then there's some others here. Mission work, you don't get paid for, well, they say mission work, that's church. Civic is on here. Civic organizations, if you look at those organizations that you belong to classified as civic, when you work for them, it takes time that you could be using for some other job. I mean, I could have another job with the time that I spend with NCRSP. Civic organizations, if you applied, do people get paid for that? If you're working with NAACP, other charities, by definition, you're not going to get paid for that.
Yes, Affie.
So
Thank you,
I
baby.
was
I
going
totally
to,
disagree with that, and I can't tell a person that if they are serving as the secretary of the usher board, if they are ushering, all the things that I'm doing now that I just could not do when I was teaching. I had to come home and do lesson plans on Sunday.
when we are looking at it, you're asking specifically right now about churches. What if you do something in church and you're not paid for it? If you spend an hour in church, hour and a half in church, and you want to use your singing on the choir as a volunteer activity, then it could be a volunteer activity. But if you're being paid to sing on the choir or paid for being a secretary to one of the organizations, then that's not
That's
volunteer.
right.
Yeah, not volunteer.
It's up to
Some
the
choir
individual. Some
members
people
have
say, well, I go to
choir
church.
practice twice a week.
Hmm. Said, well, I go to church. Should I put that as volunteer? No,
Not
it's
just
what you
go and
do.
sit down.
All
Mm-hmm.
you do is go and sit down. So you're not volunteering to do anything. That's individual.
Yes,
But
and
if you are, for example, let's look at the missionary department in the church. If they are in charge of um, outreach, feeding the homeless, sure, you count those hours. They're volunteer. If you're not being paid for them. If you are a part of a clothing closet where you spend 2 or 3 hours a day, or not a day, but a week or whenever, and you volunteer,
Mhm.
that you could count those hours. But my thing is, if you would try to do your individual one, when like today, I just came from 3 hours with working with the clothing closet. I'm going to count those hours.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's up to the individual. I understand that some people just want a sheet, a list where you can just go check off and say, I was at church this today and I usher, for 2 hours.
Mhm.
You can do your own sheet on that.
Mhm.
Okay.
We,
And
we
just
don't
like
want to
thank
be
you.
so specific and it
True.
said this you can't do and this you should do or you could
Mhm.
do.
Amen.
I think that sheet that was up a few minutes ago will allow you to categorize your volunteer hours.
Definitely. And Faye, I see your hand, but what Julia had, she gave us a glimpse of her sheet where she just has it already printed out and she just puts a tick mark for the hours that she does for that month. And so that's a way that you can keep up with your individual hours. And again, as the community service chair, you just are dealing with that once a year. Faye, I see your hand up.
Okay, my concern is I'm in several other organizations, And the way that we handle that, especially for the church component, what we are told is as long as it is self-serving, that we cannot count it. For instance, singing in the choir, ushering, those type things. But and for instance, in my church, we have a community involvement outreach um, part that we go out in the communities and we do certain things in the community. That's not self-serving, that's helping our community. We can count those hours. So that was one way that I'm a president of a local chapter. So that's one way we specify how to count hours. The other concern I had, I know you said that only local chairs deal with counting the hours in January. Our local chair decided that she preferred to do them monthly or quarterly. So our members do turn theirs in not only the end of December, January, but they can turn them in all together. And I think that because that is not anything that's self-serving to her, that she gets credit for collecting all those hours as community service. But to me, if it's anything that's self-serving, then I don't see where we should, that's just my opinion, that we should be getting volunteer hours for things that self-serve us. Just my concern.
Thank you, Faye. I like that definition. Ira, I see your hand up.
One more thing that was on that
I don't
form,
know how you raise
it,
your hand
it,
on here.
it mentioned prison ministry. Usually that is a part of where the church, the prison ministries are usually a part of church. So I was just curious as to why it was separate from the church. That was all. The other one.
Here's a copy of the old form that Ira was talking about
That's the way
from
it used to look.
2018. This is how
Exactly.
it used to look.
And it doesn't have that specifically up there. It just has some categories. I think maybe just to help people, kind of remember, like Faye said, collecting monthly or quarterly, but help people remember some of the things that they've done throughout the year. Dr. Charlotte, I see your hand up. Thank you. I see you figured it out.
Yes, I did. It took me a long time. I have one more question. Now, we have a date when the forms are due to the community service person. What do you do when you get forms late? Do you accept them or you go strictly by that date that we are given? When
by
forms
the
are
date.
due? Say that again.
Strictly by the date, unless there is something unusual that happened.
And we do take that. I think it says up there postmark. So I know some people are like, to me, some people email me their form, some people hand it to me, but we do like it. It does need to be postmarked by that date, which means it was in transit. Yes.
And you could, like email it. It's on the same date. You can email it. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm going to Maryland to see my sister. And on the way back, I'm picking up one of my church members who's 94 years old. And she's never flown on a plane by herself. And she does not have the ID with the black star. So I volunteered to drive her back home. That's a little over 6 hours. Would that count as volunteer hours?
Good question.
No, good question. Maybe we should go back and look, but
Because she
Tamara,
would
you're
not be
here,
paying
several
me.
others. Back to during COVID, you could count hours, but after that, it is a family member, but
No, she's not a family member.
she's not a family member.
No, ma'am, she's not. She's 94 years old. And she's actually the daughter of my first grade teacher. But when she went to Maryland, her granddaughter was on the plane. She has never flown on a plane by herself.
Okay.
And she also has a problem with her ID because it does not have the black star on it.
If we look at, I'm looking at companion, non-family. It said shut in, but it's like she's shut in. You're bringing her from one place to another. I could see that under charity, unpaid work, or
Okay.
companion, non-family shut in.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
And you also have your transportation of non-family.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Just want to make sure. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for asking.
You're welcome.
But you should have this one. It's on the website. Everybody needs these sheets. If you need hard copy, just let us know. I'm Affie or Wynette, and we'll get them to you. You can start now, early,
Mhm.
You could also do the pop out. You could add the information in on the sheet and email it.
All right. Any other questions?
Wynette, did you go over the change dates that were on these forms? You've done that already?
I did. I showed them each form. I didn't talk about the deadline date. So the first one is due in January and then the other forms are due in February. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
One last thing, when you download it, the form is completely it self-calculates so that you'll be able to do everything, type everything, and the columns will add up for you.
The for Form A for your individual hours,
Yes.
it does do that.
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
We're trying not to make it like work. I don't know.
On this form was where I was indicating prison ministry, not the old form. See where it says prison ministry on the first column?
Well, the
And then
reason
you've got
why
church and religion on the separate.
when I do prison ministry, I don't think of it as part of church. It's a different site, going on to the prison camp, doing the Sunday school, doing the Wednesday night lesson. It's on a completely different area. So people may think that it's something different, and it was just a detail. Can you forgive that? Does that make sense to
I'm not condemning anything. I
you?
just asked the question that prison ministry is usually grouped with church. And
Well,
yes, that would of
Well,
course be
I,
a volunteer because you leave the church to actually do the volunteer service. I'm
okay.
just going to shut up.
Okay. With that particular category, then it may need to be removed because I know that the NAACP has a prison committee that could very well, it's not a ministry, but they do visit the prisons. So that category could actually fit under one civic organization or another nonprofit organization, or I would just say it could be within another category without being a standalone. And that may be because an individual would not necessarily do that
well, somebody
because of the
needs,
guide. Well, I'm saying because of the guidelines for visiting a prison.
Yes, the
uh,
guidelines.
we
Yeah,
do it,
because you.
we don't do it through NAACP here in Carteret County. It's through individuals. But if someone wants to edit it, go ahead, take it out.
Right. Well, again, we so appreciate you giving us your time and coming today, and we definitely appreciate you being the community service chair or being interested in that position in your local RSP. We really appreciate everything that you do to help others in your community. And again, also remember that it will help you and it helps yourself to volunteer in the community and stay busy and keep active.